Bhaktishu, bhaktim labate param. So that when one is situated on this platform of nasojati na kankshati, he's neither lamenting nor hankering. He's situated in the, and not just that itself, but he's situated in Krishna consciousness. He's completely fixed in bhakti, that he attains Krishna consciousness. So the Lord takes the position of a teacher, and Sakshat Hari is there, the spiritual master, who takes the position of representing the Lord himself, who more or less comes to chastise us, to get us out of this material world. Just like Prabhupada would give this example often, that this person, he's about to run off a building, he's about to run off a tall building. In India and where I'm from, Nepal, you fly kites on your roof. And generally your roof doesn't have, I don't know why, it's freaking crazy. You have a roof without rails or anything on there.
You can just walk off your roof.
Yeah, and they have, the thing is, it's not like not like here, you have to jump on the roof and there's no way to get up there. You have stairs to get onto your roof. But for some reason, nobody thought about it, that you should put like some sort of rails or something so kids don't fall off. Actually, there's many cases where people are doing this activity and they fell off their roof and died. And so basically, you have what this thing is, like a round thing. And is that what you call it, chakri? Yeah. And it like pretty much like it winds up the thread and lets it go according to how you want to do it. And generally you have like hundreds of kites flying. There's like kite festivals, and whoever has the better string, you can like you can cut the other one, and then their kite becomes, and then and it's gone in the distance. It's finished. So you've won. So, but in the process of doing that, one is enjoying a lot. One is enjoying, oh, I'm very happy, wow, he's completely absorbed in his activity of flying this kite. But he doesn't know that, every step he's inching closer towards death. And then there's a person on the other roof who is not flying a kite, he's watching this go on. This person screams at this person that he should stop. A foolish person, he will say, what's wrong with this guy? Why is he screaming at me? What the heck is wrong with this guy? Well, who is he to scream at me? But actually that person is bestowing great compassion upon that person by screaming at him, by being very heavy towards him. And some people who are not so intelligent, superficial, will see this as offensive nowadays, that it's not the way to preach, you're being too heavy, it's not, you should be more like light and peaceful about it. But nobody ever saved someone from, if you ever go to the ocean, or you ever go to Bondi Beach, they drown a lot there in Sydney, Australia. So, I don't know what famous beaches in America that people drown in. I don't know. Come on, Myrtle Beach, nothing. Okay, so, but if somebody is in the ocean and they're about to drown, you'll see all the sirens go off. You don't see the lifeguards go, okay guys, over there, he's drowning. It's like, it doesn't call for urgency, but you'll hear these huge sirens, just like you see sirens go by when you see the police come, you'll see the firemen come. What does that mean? There's a fire. Everybody has to know that there's a fire. There's a fire here and we have to take care of it. So that's also the duty of the spiritual master. There is a fire. We are burning in the fire of material existing, samsara dava. We are burning in this fire of material existence. Do you think some peaceful quietness and everything is wonderful is going to come and save us? That alarm is required to wake you up, just like you don't wake up to, birds chirping in the morning. I know. I'm different, okay? My alarm is birds chirping, yeah. It's not like cute birds, it's like annoying birds. So it's not as annoying as some of the other devotees' alarms. Jai Satchidananda. So when one puts an alarm on, in order to wake up, he needs a level of urgency is there, right? Otherwise, you're not going to wake up. You're going to continue to sleep in your ignorance. So similarly, the Lord or the teacher per se, what Prabhupada is referring to here, he is very heavy. Guru means heavy. Guru means heavy. That by nature he's heavy. Not that you expect your guru to be very hugging guru or very peaceful guru, and he doesn't really say anything to you. He glorifies his all your activity, and everything that you do is so wonderful, and you're such a great person. We should be careful if we hear such things. So the position of a person who is trying to save someone else is generally that of urgency. And in that urgency, force is required. Just like force is required from the fireman to break into the building, force is required of the lifesaver to pull the person with their hair. You know, if you ever go to slaves, you probably don't know because you don't know how to swim, so you know. Oh, you did learn, okay. So if you go to save someone, how do you save them? No, you don't grab the whole body. That's stupid. If you grab the whole body, they pull you down with them because they're struggling.
Oh, you throw the life.
Well, okay, you can throw the lifesaver.
I have that ring. I have a
Oh yeah, okay. So what do you do?
They teach you to basically like get behind them.
Right, get behind them.
Like put your hand in this armpit and you swim like.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's not comfortable at all. Or the other way I've seen them do it is like they just grab their hair.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, because now they can't like mess with you because you have to be as free as possible, more or less. Like if you're.
They can't grab the hand.
Like if you have. They're pulling you up. They're pulling you up. They're pulling you up. I've seen that the lifeguards, they go out in their boats and sometimes they pull them like that. That's why we have shikas, right? So the point is that there's some force required. There's some force required. The lifeguard doesn't come and try to calm you down while you're drowning in the middle of like you being underwater and say, you know, I'm here to help you. I'm going to take you. I'm going to like slowly take you and I'm going to hold you. No, he grabs the heck out of you and he takes you to shore. And then if he needs to, he basically punches your chest and gets all the water out of you. You know, that's what it, you know, you gotta push hard, right? You must have done that thing where what did they say when they do it?
Stay alive. I'm not gonna sing it.
Huh? What is it?
They make you sing that song.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, it's so
Okay, so you gotta pump hard. It's a force is required. So the force is required in order to get that person back to life, in order to bring that person out of ignorance, in order to save that person from the fire. So we see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he particularly, makes this point of how one actually, a guru is meant to be very heavy. That throughout this second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he is very heavy to Arjuna. So you're like a woman. You're like a eunuch. You know, he's basically calling him like a shudra. Like this is what shudras do. They just lament all day about things that are not worthy of grief. So the position of the spiritual master is that chastisement, and that one should understand that is what gets us out of this network of ignorance. And that chastisement, it gives us a shock by which we should wake up to the reality of accepting the spiritual master as the captain of our ship. So, is there any water? So, as explained in the later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjuna agreed that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. So this is what the spiritual master brings us to the level of recognizing that actually higher than, because everybody gives importance to something, right? Just like Arjuna here, Arjuna is actually cultured. He's not some malecha like us. He's a very cultured person. And he's taken shelter of religious principles. And that's what you're, in the Vedic culture, that's what you're meant to do at all times. But Krishna is directly going against that in here. They say, no, you don't do this. You don't follow these religious principles. The same religious principle that he is propounding in the Vedas. Because the president is given to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his desires. So the Krishna consciousness means that actually one even goes beyond the rules and regulations of religious scriptures per se. That those are implemented within the Krishna consciousness movement, but they're not the end-all and be-all of Krishna consciousness. That one, just like, Prabhupada said to Arikesh Swami, that, he said, where is he going? He was going to Russia. He said, Prabhupada, I can't go to Russia. He said, why? Because they don't, everything they eat is only meat. So go and eat meat and preach. But the religious principle is there that one shouldn't harm other living entities. So what is this? It's that there is a more importance is given to preaching the Krishna consciousness movement than any of these religious formalities. So this also must be understood in proper light, that there's obviously instruction from the spiritual master and a bona fide spiritual master with a proper understanding. So when one is learned in that knowledge, he never becomes bewildered. So he says, and because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. So everyone in this world poses as a very learned man. Guru Maharaj was saying in one lecture that in India they asked about 1,000 or so people, what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita?
Wow.
So let's say 100 people were asked, what is the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? 90 people replied with some conclusion or understanding. And so 90%. And of those 90%, 80 of them didn't know, they'd never read the Bhagavad Gita.
Wow.
So it's amazing how people claim to know things when they are not even at all studied it. Or they've never even had the audacity to go through the Bhagavad Gita and understand what it actually is. But they're very quick on wanting to have that recognition of a learned person. That's the whole basis of material existence is name, fame, adoration. That's why we primarily don't strive for that, and we completely against that in devotion service. That means material consciousness. So a person who is in material consciousness, even though he may be the dumbest of the human beings, he claims to know something. He claims, I know so much. It's like we've had so much experience on the street when we're distributing books. Yes, I'm very spiritual. Yes, I know so much about energy. And so, you rascal, you're at, what the hell are you doing? You can clearly see this person is the mode of ignorance like anything. It's like, just like one person was telling me that I asked him, he told me, he was telling me some things. And I said, so where did you get your knowledge from? He said, this homeless guy told me.
Wow.
So what?
Wow.
It's okay. God. So it's like, this homeless guy told me, or this guy I met on the street told me. So everybody wants to claim to be a learned person, but they don't know what is important. And actually that's what intelligence is, to recognize what is important. Intelligence is not particularly being smart. One may be very dumb, like materially, just like you can't do maths, you're horrible at reading, he's materially incompetent at everything. But if he's Krishna conscious, then he's actually considered very intelligent. Because intelligence in the Bhagavad Gita, we understand, primarily means one who understands what is sat and what is asat, what is temporary, what is eternal. And not only does he understand it, but he acts on that basis. But those who don't even endeavor to understand this, they're considered fools. So like, we were saying yesterday at the university, Einstein was a fool. Like all your teachers may be fools, you may be fools yourself. that you're studying this knowledge which is completely asat, ignorance, the nature of his ignorance. Every time you studied it, just, that guy who, he was saying that he studies psychology, and he could understand, that what you're studying today is going to be completely different 2 years from now, so why you're studying it is completely ignorance. It's completely useless to your life. In a few years, whatever you earn today won't be anything, so what's the point? So intelligence primarily means recognizing that I am beyond this body, that I am soul, there is the supreme personality of Godhead. That is called intelligence. That means one comes to the level of understanding of detachment of body. And actually, I was listening to a lecture. I'm not just throwing this out here because I feel like it. But Guru Maharaj was mentioning this point. For some reason, I've thought about it, but in different ways, but I've never particularly heard it like this. He was saying, therefore, Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad Gita that women are less intelligent. This is not Jita Girish Prabhu's quest. so everyone was here that day. So I'm saying that particularly to give the idea of the intelligence. Why? Because he was saying that in general, women are more attached to family, home, having nice things. So therefore, it's considered like less intelligent. When one is more attached to the bodily conception of life and endeavors for more, and he was saying in that lecture that is the natural psychophysical nature of a body of a woman. So intelligence, a learned man, what is a learned man? It means that he has a sharp intelligence. Sharp intelligence in order to do what? In order to recognize the difference between matter and spirit. And it may be a woman may be also very intelligent in this regard, in understanding this, that she comes to the realization that this material body is actually useless. It's not something to be endeavored for, and spiritual life is to be endeavored for. So, but one poses as a very learned man and he tries to teach so many things. So as he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which is unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and therefore there is no cause for lamentation regardless of the condition of the material body. Therefore those who are teaching this science of whatever they're teaching in this material world, you'll see them, they're always lamenting, hankering and lamenting, because knowledge is, the primary duty of knowledge is to bring you out of this. That's what Krishna consciousness is meant to do, is to bring you out of this hankering and lamenting, that mentality, it's a mode of ignorance and passion and ignorance. And basically what one is meant to come up to is to the level of goodness. Pure goodness, but first come to the level of goodness. What does that mean? That one's activities are not controlled by, some circumstance may come where there's misfortune, or some circumstance may come where there's a lot of fortune. But in both those cases, he's completely satisfied. Or like an example that you can give is like someone who hankers and laments a lot may, let's say, spill some, like he's cooking and he may spill what he's cooking on the floor. Somebody on the level of goodness, he'll learn from that. And he won't attach his feelings to that per se. He'll take that and he'll go, okay, I messed up. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to start again. And I'm going to go on in life because now I know don't do that. That's it. And he won't be hung up on it. But as someone who's that of a Shudra mentality in the mode of ignorance, oh, I'm so useless, I'm so horrible at everything, I suck at everything, this person came and told me this, I'll never be good at anything. This is the mentality of a Shudra, mode of ignorance. So devotee means that he takes the chastisement of the spiritual master with a very strong mind in that mode of goodness, that he sees the instruction, he takes it, he takes the heaviness of it, and he's not lamenting and hankering about, oh, this happened, and now like this, and I suck. He just goes, okay, all right, I have this bad quality, it's true, I'm going to fix it. And that's his mentality, I'm going to fix it. And he doesn't attach all these feelings and all these things that ultimately just cause more burden onto that person. So those who are not learned, and that comes with this understanding that, I'm not this mind, I'm not this intelligence, I'm not this body, I am spirit, soul, the servant of Krishna. That understanding, this position only comes with that pure understanding when one comes to that level. So when one takes up Krishna consciousness, he starts to give more importance on the platform of the soul, not on the platform of the body. He gives less importance to the comforts of the body, and he starts giving more importance on the advancement of the soul, one's Krishna consciousness. So therefore, you'll see so many young men and women here. We give up our comfortable situation in our homes. We give up our comfortable situations in our finances. We give up our comfortable situation in our car, having our own car. We give them all up because we see that by giving all these things up, we're able to completely dedicate all our activities in the process of self-realization. Primarily meaning that we're acting on the platform of the soul. Now we've given importance to the soul. This, we can understand if we've come up to this level, that there is some level of proper hearing is there. That we've understood there is a higher goal of life. That we should give up so much unnecessary importance to the comforts of this body. So one who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body. So the condition of the material body is not the reason we're miserable. The condition of our place or wherever we may be is not the causes of our lamentation. When we realize that, or that's naturally realized by the process of Krishna consciousness, you could say, he becomes very susukam kartum avyayam. That when he's performing devotional service, he goes beyond this, and he's very happy by nature. Just like, not that I'm on a high level of Krishna consciousness, but it's there, the happiness of Krishna consciousness. Just this morning, just cooking with Bhakta Tyrese, this is so ecstatic. We were in complete bliss. I was like telling him, like, Prabhu, it's like, there's so many things we could have done in our lives, but like, I'm in this kitchen and there's like this ecstatic kirtan playing, and it's the same kirtan every day, and it's the same kirtan. It's like Agnidev singing over the thing, and we're like dancing and chanting and cooking for Krishna, and it's just a very blissful time. I told him, I've never been happier in my life. And I tell you, have you ever been happy in your life? He's like, no, I've never been happier in my life. And it's just like completely like inconceivable, because we're starting to go, it's like we're recognizing the more importance to giving pleasure to Krishna. Although it may be sometimes very difficult to do so many services at the same time. It may be so difficult to, like we're going to be doing in a few weeks, going out for 8-9 hours a day. It is really difficult. It is really difficult. You forget what is day, what is night. You're like, my God, I don't know what day it is. It's like, you're at the airport some days and you're like distributing, and it's like 8 o'clock at night, and you feel like you've only been there for like an hour. Yeah. So, because when one gets, you have to experience this in the marathon, you become so absorbed in book distribution, you just forget to eat. Yeah. Like you don't even care. You're like, bro, I don't care. Like or like you have some sickness or something at some point, and you're like, damn, I don't think I can do it today. And you go out and you do it, and you're like, you completely forget about your body altogether. And that's what we are trying to experience in Krishna consciousness. It's like Sampradaya Prabhu was telling us, we were trying to realize that we're not this body. We were trying to realize it. We were reading it from Prabhupada's books every day, but now we wanted to realize, therefore we're performing 10, 12 hours of services every day. Because we're trying to realize, I'm not this body. I'm not this mind, even the mind may give me so much trouble. You can realize this on book distribution, especially in the marathon. Because your whole consciousness completely changes. Because you're Tivrena Bhakti Yogina, you're one direction, just everything is just like you know what your goal is today. Every day for the rest of the month, you know what your goal is. I have to meet 35, whatever, where is Nali? 32 Bhakti stacks?
Come on, bro. What happens?
32 is too much.
Okay.
Too much.
So you know your goal every day. And so you'll realize in the marathon, devotees, unless you stop thinking about what's going on in your day and you become spaced out, people don't get so mental. Why? Because Prabhupada gives us the pure understanding that because the mind is in samadhi. It's in complete focus. And you'll see those devotees who are in complete focus through their japa, through the Bhagavatam class, even when taking prasadam, they're meditating on book distribution, that they do huge because they're in samadhi. So we have to come to this level of understanding we're not this body, and this can be realized in this marathon. You can realize you're not the body in the marathon. You can realize, oh, how much I can push myself, how much you can come to a realization that I am not this mind and I don't have to let my mind dictate how I think and how I feel. You can do that on the street every day. You can conquer the mind by book distribution. We read you read so much, you read Shastra and the yogis meditate for so many thousands of years. Like Prabhupada is making this point that you can, one day of book distribution. Why? Because you can conquer the mind there. That's what yogis try to do. That's the purpose of meditation, is to conquer the mind. The mind is the primary instrument, the reason we are in this material world. Identification. Therefore, book distribution can liberate you, and it's considered more than any austerity performed by any other sage, because we start to completely identify with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Identify as His servant, purely. Because you're suffering out there, your body is like, you've been going 3 days, and every day 10 hours, 12 hours a day. And you're not getting paid, you're not getting pleasure of your senses, but you're deriving something so much higher that you're able to see beyond all these things. Therefore, book distribution gives us more advancement in one day, but one has to be focused and recognize how important that is, and one has to be consistently, and his goal has to be there. And the Prabhupada says later down in the Bhagavad Gita that the only reason that this changed my life when I read this completely, and as Prabhupada says, one word in his books can completely liberate you, and we should try to realize that he says somewhere, I have to find it again, that the only reason one is in anxiety is because there isn't an ultimate goal in mind. So if we can realize in this marathon that I have a goal, and therefore I'm staying fixed every day on that goal, then what if I fix the mind on a goal for the rest of my life, and every day in, day out, just like the marathon I'm doing, do that for the rest of my life? How much success there would be. You'll perfect your life without a problem. Do the same thing, like you have this goal in your mind every day, 30 bhakti stacks, 30 bhakti stacks, 30 bhakti stacks. You know when you get home, before you go to sleep, you know what you're doing tomorrow, and you know what you're doing the next day, you know what you're doing for the rest of the month. But if you make that your whole life, then you just remain fixed for the rest of your life. You're done, finished. You're done with the material world. You're done and dusted. I'm done, finished. So this is the December marathon where we can realize and actually become really learned, to go beyond lamenting for this body all day and come to this platform of purely identifying not as a soul per se, but as a servant of Krishna. Okay, I'll end my class there. 30 seconds to ask a question. Ram, are you going to read a purport or? Okay. Okay. You can ask the question.
You mentioned that earlier about today you have to go to eat.
Mm.
Now you can see it's not the eating that's important, but more so the service in which you perform. So, for example, how can you clarify that when it comes to Garuda?
What, Garuda? Wait, he's a bird. He just eats what he eats. He eats snakes and okay. So we'll end the class here. It's 45. Sorry, we have a lot of boga to move. It's a lot of boga. So please, all hands on deck. This is gonna take some time. Okay.